Oh, you know what's hilarious? Are you able to... oh, wait, no, actually, I can do it the opposite way this time. Last time I had to pull down. This time I have to fling up. And then now your face is perfectly, like, symmetrical and perfect. Well, your face is always symmetrical and perfect, but there we go.
Oh.
We're lined up and... You're quite welcome. LA5, my good man.
KG3.
Oh,
My man.
quite the mug. What are you drinking today?
Well, it is Mammoth Energy Drink, which is a nitric oxide booster and a little bit of caffeine.
Nice.
There's also some tyrosine in it, which I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like that might kind of give me a headache if I have too much of it.
What is tyrosine?
Tyrosine is an amino acid, and it's supposed to have some kind of a neuro-boosting effect, maybe a better memory and whatnot in the mind. But
It had been so much. It's like, what's it supposed to do? I forget. I forget.
Can't
Better
think of it,
memory.
'cause I didn't have enough tyrosine.
Hold on, let me go have some. Oh, my head. But I remember what it was for. Right
Oh,
on.
hey, there's utility. But yeah, very small amount of that. But then I also have lemon juice and dark grade Canadian syrup, maple syrup, topped off with some lovely oat milk.
Ooh, that
Stirred
sounds
up.
very lovely.
It's kind of like an orange creamsicle, basically, because the Mammoth energy drink is orange mango flavor.
Oh, tasty. You make the most luxurious drinks, I must say.
I found a new one this morning.
Oh, what was that?
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it later.
All right.
I call it a shot of heaven.
A shot.
In fact, you know what?
I'm sure it complements Christ Cola very well.
It does. Shot of the heavens, plural. Because there's 3 layers to it, and you can see the different densities of the layers. My first layer is maple syrup, nice and thick maple syrup. Second layer, freshly squeezed lemon juice. Third layer, olive oil. And now you can see those 3 layers as separated because they all have different densities, starting with the heaviest of maple syrup, and then, of course, the water for the lemon juice, which then you have oil on top. So you get to see it separated as 3 glorious little layers of heaven.
I love that. Now,
And the fun part is there's utility in all of it.
all right, let's hear
It's
it.
not just for taste. In fact, the taste is not even the utility of the actual drink. You start with the maple syrup, which has protein declumping properties. So the proteins in our blood
Okay.
can get clumped up and get stuck in our brain and make for a slower brain. So what this does is it finds those proteins that are clumped and declumps them. So now things can flow much, much better, and the mind can function better.
That's it. Where'd you
also
find
got-
out about that?
I read an article.
Oh, very nice. Articles.
It might have to be fact checked.
I mean,
read
it
it
still
once.
sounds cool, though. I mean, if it's true.
Oh, I mean, it was credible. I mean, sure, I could fact check it, but there's also antioxidants and a couple of very beneficial minerals, one being manganese and I think iron as well. But then you got the vitamin C from the lemon, and then you got the olive oil, which is also a very powerful antioxidant and helps the joints, helps the skin. May or may not be a testosterone booster for men,
Ooh.
but it could be.
Oh, wait, I'm
There's
a
some
man.
evidence suggesting. Helps you sleep, brings down inflammation. It's just a shot of health. Also helps line the stomach with that nice olive oil. Supposed to have it before bed too.
There is
Produce
something
more
to that.
melatonin.
That's even biblical. The olive oil and the unleavened bread, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
KG3, you have a story that you teased me with. And
I
now
did.
I want to hear because I have no idea what it is.
Okay, so now what we were referring to earlier was just I forget where we even came to get there, but it's about Dubai. Now that is the
Yes.
megalopolis in the desert there. Like, I believe it was started in the 1980s and of course has been built into being one of the most luxurious cities in the world, and is filled with incredible architecture, modern architecture though, which I find almost slightly ironic considering it's like you could be making a very Arabic or like a cultural based city, but it's very almost Americanized modern, but they want that because they want to bring the billionaires in. Nevertheless, some of the things that they've done, they've made these man-made islands and man-made lakes, all these, again, feats of man when it comes to just like modifying nature. But here's the kicker. The one that they did recently, and I don't know how long they were doing it for, but they were cloud seeding. And in the conspiracy circles, that has only been just that. It's been conspiracy for so long. But recently, Dubai was hit with a massive hurricane style flood from excessive rainfall, and it destroyed so much of the city. And luckily, not many people perished, which is, like, again, amazing. But the amount of damage is in the billions, and the water, though, came from cloud seeding. And what cloud seeding is where they put chemicals into the sky to force clouds to form, and it rains. And here's again, what's interesting about that is like, so it's like, so it's true. They can do that. And this is not just like, again, this isn't the conspiracy. This is in the mainstream. You can watch the videos of Dubai being hit by the water and them admitting the cloud seeding went wrong. But isn't it interesting that, so you're telling me though, there are places in the world that are impoverished of water and we can actually bring them water? Isn't that interesting? And they're
I find that
using
very
it,
interesting.
and they're using it only in this, again, luxurious $1 trillion egocentric project of this
For now.
Middle Eastern prince, which again, it's an amazing feat built on the backs of excessive slavery, like most of the world, but crazy, crazy nonetheless. It's quite the story. It'll be interesting to see what they do to try to reform the city
Slavery.
from all this. Slavery. It's true.
Oh
Yeah, we'll
man.
just bring them all in.
Have you
Well,
ever
it's,
dove
yeah.
down the rabbit hole of, how we came to get our social insurance number? And how the moment that we did, we became basically a debt slave to the establishment of our country?
That there's a term for that. A straw man, right? Or is that what I'm thinking of? Is that the straw man?
I don't know.
Okay, because I do
What
know
it, what
there
it,
is something to that where it says, yeah, it's essentially our barcode, right?
mhm. And
Yeah,
we have an actual tradable certificate
that's what it is. Yes.
hidden
Yeah.
on the stock market somewhere so
Yeah.
that we are basically an asset for the corporation of our country or the government.
That's right.
And so that makes me think of debt slavery and it makes me think of just overall, I guess, citizenship as a slavery kind of a thing, how it can be
Yeah.
hidden. And, one thing that I also realized is that slavery, even though it might be true that I've been made a debt slave, I got an SIN number. I do. I pay GST. I
Yep.
give to Caesar what is Caesar's. That makes me a slave in that sense on that level.
Yeah.
But my mind frame is completely free of any identity of saying I'm a slave to the government. I
Absolutely.
don't see that as any part of who I actually am. My perspective is very, very different. So instead of a slave like mentality, I don't see them as my masters. I see them as my resistance, not in the sense of, trying to defy and bring down and bring anarchy and take down the government, but on a mind sense, to be able to accept them for where they've been placed and allow them to do what they've been designed to do,
Yeah.
which, can rub a lot of people the wrong way because they're not necessarily doing good things. But can I come from a place where I don't judge them? Instead, I embrace them and I pray for them. And I become victorious over the mindset of saying, I need to destroy them. I need to change the system myself. I know how things could be better. And instead, I accept for where they're at right now and what part of our plot, the storyline, we're at in humanity, but then understanding where it's going.
Well, it's an
Because
interesting one. It's interesting with that part of saying, because it's so true. It's just like everyone, especially when we're younger, we always want to say it's just like, I know what's best. I know what would be better if the government only was this way, or if people were only that way. And it's just, it's like the idea that it's just like, oh, you know best, huh? After all the millennia of people trying different things, you know best. And with government, with like the debt slavery system that we definitely are in, because the fact that there's more debt than there is actual cold cash, and most people have some form of debt, and a lot make it work for themselves. Like a lot of people put themselves in debt, but again, it's like it's the type of debt you can put yourself into, right? You can put yourself into debt trying to achieve something greater to even one day crawl out of the debt, or you can put yourself into debt by getting fast food every day because you're too lazy to cook, you know? And it's interesting, and government is like I'm no friend to the government. I'll complain about it night and day, but yet still see its use. And in especially in the Western world, our version of slavery to them is so incomparable to slavery of anywhere else in the world or even of the past. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like it's like
Oh, yes.
because it is one thing to say it's like yeah, it's like give Caesar his and we pay our taxes. But if we don't, they will send us notices, they will say they'll come after us, and at the same time, if you just don't work, you don't pay taxes, you don't have to, you can again live off the system. There's people, it's like I don't know of a slave system that also has a part of itself that lets you suck at the teat. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, like it's there's a lot to our system, and again, I can go on for hours about everything wrong with it, but the
Oh, I
amount
know.
that is
You're good at
still,
it.
oh, thank you, but the amount that
I
is still right
remember
in
those
it,
conversations.
yeah, we've had some long ones, but and I think it's because a lot of the negative is starting to really show through the cracks of like our modern system.
Totally.
You know, so I feel the need now. I guess I guess I'm always trying to be on the side of the minority when it comes to it. I like to see like I like it's like now that the cracks are being shown, it's like okay, those are cracks. Those can be filled in. Let's not break it apart.
Pow. There it
You
is.
know, and that's just it. What it's not wabi. Maybe it is wabi sabi, the Japanese proverb where it's like if you break a vase, you don't have to throw it away. You fill in the cracks with gold, and then it's
Hmm.
still beautiful. It's beautifully broken.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, kind of like that.
That is phenomenal. And here's where I see that fitting together. How many people, percentage wise, would you say that you have ever met in your life have been good hearted people?
I'd have to say, like, I know I want to say most because like most interactions are pleasant. But it's like yeah, I'd say the deeper I get to know people, it's very rare I start to think they're worse and worse. It's more often. Sometimes I even think when I first meet them, I'm kind of like, I don't know about you, but the more I get to know you, it's like I was wrong about you in a
Ah,
good
yes.
way. It's like I'm wrong in a good way.
Yep.
It's like you are more layered, you are more deep, you are more both individual and connected than I previously could have thought.
Some of my
It's yeah,
best friendships have come from that place.
yeah,
Where at
yes.
first I just thought they're extremely arrogant. I'm like, ugh, my ego doesn't like you.
And
and
there it
we
is too.
we become best friends.
Yeah, it's the clashing, right? Yeah, you like you. It's a lot of times you clash with people who you then end up being the closest with. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I found personally that the vast majority of almost everyone that I've come across in my 38 years, they have proven themselves to demonstrate as good-hearted people. I can't think of very many, if any, that continue to just hold malice towards each and every individual that they have in their life. I think the majority is they want good things for the people in their lives. Vast majority, I would say. And that makes me think of our systems of the world: business, entertainment, government, world government, even the banking system, all of that. That's still fundamentally made up of people.
yeah,
And sure, we could say that the people at the top who are on the need to know basis, so no one else really knows the full picture down below of the system. However, it takes those good hearted people that are the majority to make the system work. And they
yes,
only continue to do what they do because they think they're doing something good, or at least something that is good enough to say, I can earn a paycheck, I'm not harming anybody, this is good.
yeah,
But what if they knew that there's something else that's available? For example, we can cloud seed. we know which areas need the water. And if we can even do it to the measure that we know exactly how much that soil can absorb and how much would be too much and just cause a flood, we could also help with that. And the understanding is probably already there. So the fact that the technology exists tells me that it can be used for something that you just said, for good, to bring water to the areas that are dry and need it, but at the same time have the understanding, because we've been given the understanding of how much water the soil truly needs, so it's not too much.
And there
So
it
this
is.
is
Yeah,
this is going to be available down the road, because guess what? Goodness supplants malice.
absolutely. And malice always
That's
has to
simple.
reveal itself. And if anything, I again, like, I feel for the people of Dubai. I like it because I that's a horrible situation to be engineered into. You could even say, but
Mm,
unintentionally engineered, because they were playing with the elements. They because it still is a newer technology, and if anything, there it is as an example of it's not perfected.
mm,
It's almost, you shouldn't be doing it over top of a urban center. You should be doing it over top of the open desert, and do years, like I say years as if I know, but like years, months, whatever you need of testing to see how it reacts.
hmm.
And then even as you do it in the desert, it's like, okay, can we now do that in an open field? Like somewhere in a forest even. Does it do the same? Will it react the same? So like it's, yeah, it's like you said, we have the technology, which means it will eventually become more widely accessible.
Right. We
Yeah.
just also need the understanding, which requires a predisposition of humility so that we can be
Yeah.
teachable.
Yeah.
And then from there, be able to actually find the balance of what's true in how to best utilize cloud seeding for the good for all.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that that's an option that we do have. Because, well, where do all good thoughts come from? We don't generate them, we receive them.
That's right.
All of creation has already been finitoed a long time ago. And so for us to come into reception of something that's good for all, that's a kingdom thought. And we
Ooh.
bring kingdom like manifestation because that's the result of a kingdom thought. And that word that is sent forth will not return void because it's his word. His word is the kingdom. And we're meant to be the kingdom bringers.
Amen.
So there's always a version of something that can be used for good.
That's
And when
right.
we find that good, we implement that sweet action, boom, we find ourselves in the moment of truth.
Soaring high. And to kind of pivot a little bit from the seeding of clouds into the experiencing of them, I want you to share your story because you had a special flight, you said yesterday, because we were supposed to do this podcast yesterday, but you said that your flight instructor wanted to take you on a flight, and I'm curious, where did he take you?
That was a very interesting flight, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a video that I sent you that kind of sets up the context of this flight and the entire message behind it, actually, that I find very fascinating. So I've been doing this thing in the last week where throughout my day, I take little 10-second video clips of stuff that I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever like a good experience is, or, you know, a good development, such as food, fun
Mm-hmm.
little moments throughout the day, whatever I appreciate. I take a 10-second clip, and then the idea is at the end of the week, I compile it into one highlight reel of my life, basically. And I
Ah.
see all the good things that has transpired throughout my week, complete with a graph that is documenting my moods and my energy levels throughout the entire week. So you can see patterns and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the very end of the video shows the flight. And this flight was really neat, but there were some unforeseen events and developments that made it difficult to actually take in as a gift and not a, oh no, how am I going to endure this? I still have 3 hours.
Mm.
This is this is bad. So here's what happened. We started off nice in the morning, and there were some weather issues, but we got to
Cloud
fly
seeding.
past that. There were so many clouds. We're probably getting the clouds from Dubai. They finally made their way over, and there's just dumping rain all over the place. And so we're flying through that, and it's really neat. You know, we're basically banking at 45 degrees, just 1,000 feet off the ground, sometimes 500 feet if there's no people there.
Wow.
And we're looking at lakes while you're spiraling over top of them because we're basically trying to find fishermen, whether they're on boats or they're on the docks. If there's somebody fishing, we got to report it. Just because people want to know how many people are fishing in certain areas as to which lakes they should focus on stocking, kind of a thing.
Right.
Where is there a demand for the supply of fish? And so we went from lake to lake to lake for almost like 30 lakes. And my job was to write down all of the data, whether there's birds, if there's pelicans, if there's boats, kayaks, whatever it is. And so
How good are you at identifying birds?
at first I'm like, are you serious? You need me to see whether or not that beak is long or short from 1,000 feet away? How can you tell? But my eyes adapted, and suddenly I was able to see a pelican after I actually saw my first set of pelicans. It's like I just needed the stencil first to refer to. But main point of this is there is a good time for the first 3 hours. We had a lot of fun. However, I didn't have any caffeine yesterday. And prior to that, I had 10 days of caffeine every single day. So there is a certain level of toxicity that my body had to detoxicate from. And it didn't feel good. I've had it happen before where it almost feels like flu symptoms. I'm going through these caffeine withdrawals.
That grogginess, yeah.
Well, a headache and even like a bit of a fever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like almost feel no hunger whatsoever. Flu-like.
Caffeine withdrawals
Crazy.
is not a joke.
Yeah, no, it was serious.
Yeah.
And the combination of that, I could feel the headache coming on after the 3 hour mark. And then as I'm writing, and my Captain Sweezy does the 45-degree bank turns. There's a lot of G-force in that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of course, movement. And so if I'm not registering on a visual level what's going on, my body's like, bro, what's happening here? This is not good. Motion sickness basically is what the body experiences.
Yeah.
Is it wants to get motion sick because you're looking down and feeling all of the movement. So after another 1.5 hours of that, I was feeling no bueno.
Oh.
And I've only been motion sick once, back in like really bad fishing conditions, and like I was also hungover substantially.
Doesn't help.
And that did not help. That was the main issue. And it was terrible, but like usually I never get motion sickness. But this time, boom, Captain Sweezy gave me an orange pepper. I ate that. He gave me a couple of mini eggs. I ate those. And about half an hour later, I'm like, oh man, I don't feel so good. And then I felt it coming on. I felt the watering mouth and the disconnected sensations. I'm like, oh man, this is not good. He got a bag for me as quickly as possible, but it wasn't quite quickly enough.
It's not funny, but I love your storytelling. I know what's coming. What happened?
Wow. It came out, and it didn't all make it in the bag. The first one was straight to the mouth, and it's like a full mouth kind of a thing. I'm trying to hold it back. I'm just in time to get the bag. Didn't quite make it. There was casualties. But, 99% made it in the bag. That's fantastic. But I'm still feeling not so good. I feel better, but still I'm thinking to myself, okay, I need to chase the attitude here. My circumstances are harsh because my body is in disarray and my biochemistry feels terrible. But this is a good opportunity to be able to chase that attitude where I just embrace the moment as much as I can, do the best job that I can at my task, and find the goodness that's being made available in each second. Even if it's small, if I can only just take in a little bit of a good time given my situation,
Of course.
let's find it. We still had 3 hours to go. My mind wanted to go down like the path of, we got to head back. We got to land.
All right.
But my heart did not want to do that. It wanted to utilize that moment as an opportunity to lean into it, find the goodness, and then embody it, make it real. And it ended up being a pretty good flight after that. And I was
That's
able to, we both found the humor in the situation.
that's good.
And the weather got even better. And I didn't feel all that sick for the rest of the flight. There was just more of a, headache. Not great, but anyway, that's in the video that I sent you. Orange peppers.
Orange peppers, interesting. Now, what is it about orange peppers that's supposed to help?
Yeah, it didn't.
It,
My body rejected the orange pepper.
that was perfect that you took the sip right. How did it help? It didn't. When it comes to motion sickness, it just makes me think of this story. When I was in Mexico with my family in the end of 2004, it was New Year's 2005. We went down to Cancun, and one of the things we did was we went on a snorkeling excursion. So like we're on the boat, and they take us to this awesome little cove area where we snorkel, and it's really cool. It's one of the areas of the world where when you jump in the water, there's 3 different temperatures of water. So it's like the water that's at your chest is different than the water that's at your stomach, and that's at the water at your legs. So your legs would be like almost like lukewarm. Your stomach would be freezing, and then your chest would just be hot. And it's just like, what a fantastic sensation. Nothing to do with motion sickness. Back to that story. So we're on the boat that was heading there, and we hit some waves, and everyone on the boat was just not doing good. Everyone's feeling just kind of motion sickness, except for one man, my father. He's sitting there on the boat, looking around. He has a beer, takes a sip, sees everyone not having a good time, and he goes, "Cerveza." Just calls for another beer because he's like, I'm still not going to let this ruin my trip. I always remember that just because if there's one thing that happens every time with my dad, it's like if anyone else is having a rough time, he still is like that stoic rock that's just kind of like, life happens.
That's interesting. Yeah. I wonder what's going on in his mind in those moments.
I don't claim to know what goes on in Jerry's mind. I just know he's a good man.
Yeah. But I bet you it's something different than observing people puking.
Of course.
And thinking how nasty and brutal that is. Because that's what a lot of people, I think, their mind would just want to gravitate towards. Their attention would go on everybody else puking and how disgusting it is. And then they start puking because they're almost joining in on their experience.
There's so much truth to that, yeah. Vicarious puking.
Yeah, mirror neurons. Yeah. There's literally neurons that are dedicated to mirroring the other person's experience.
It's like when people yawn. Empathy. It's like when people yawn. If someone yawns, it's very rare that the other people won't start yawning. Except for that one person who doesn't. They're just staring at you yawn, and they're like...
And who knows what's going on there? Maybe that person's a sociopath and they have no empathy, or maybe they're taking that moment as a challenge, just saying, okay, I see that you're yawning, but I'm not going to allow it to trigger me subconsciously to yawn. Right? Use it as a challenge. See if I can have control over this. But yet the other person could be like, oh, he didn't yawn. He's a sociopath. Guaranteed. 100%. He might not be human. He's an alien. But I just thought it was a good challenge. I wanted to overcome my subconscious programming.
Just what a sociopathic alien would say.
Oh no, yeah. I really don't. Yeah, I don't think I'm an alien. I'm pretty sure I'm human. But like, how do you even know?
It's just like, hey, I'm sure
there's there's pictures of me being born. I mean, that's some good evidence right there.
I mean, but where were you born?
In the hospital.
Which hospital?
Vancouver University.
Which Vancouver University? Which UBC? It just keeps going. Just how about those people? It's just like, and I'm sure I've been one of them, where it's just they will never concede in any way, shape, or form. It's just like the evidence is in front of them, and they're like, no.
Interesting. Something's being protected. Some kind of a belief.
And there, well, that is exactly what it is, right? It's like the protection of belief. We all have it. We all have our moments, our feelings, our beliefs.
What if, KG3,
LA5.
what if beliefs were derived from something living? As in, each belief has a life form attached to it.
I always loved that theory, if not what is reality, because
Mm.
I there is something living about every like structure that people follow. It's so true. Dipping in and out.
Well, I find beliefs very fascinating. There's this one book called Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas, and he talked about beliefs as though they're living things.
Mm,
And what's fascinating is a belief, for one, it needs energy to live.
that's right. Yeah, I
It
can see
needs
that.
someone to have a belief installed into them so they can energize that belief by acting on it and believing that it's true. So it
Mm,
gives that belief energy because it's being demonstrated in our world with energy.
right.
And another thing about beliefs is they tend to want to populate, multiply into other people. It's almost like we want our beliefs to be projected onto other people just automatically so that they start believing the same thing. And when they believe the same thing, we feel good, feel
Yeah.
validated. There's
Yep.
something to it. At the same time, if a belief is threatened and someone's trying to change our beliefs, now they get defensive. You actually
Yeah.
feel the shift inside of you and go into a stress response as if you're about to fight somebody. But it's like there's that fight or flight syndrome for the belief itself. So, what is it about beliefs that makes it seem like they're a living life form?
The fact that it is a personality all of itself,
Ah,
and it's something that it's I don't want to use the word virus, but like I want to use the term mind virus, but
mm,
that's the a mind upload I'll use instead because I want it to be a positive, like a mind upload. Because for whatever reason, while we were discussing, one of the things that popped through my head was look at the idea of even something like communism, right? Like that is a mind virus. That is people believing they are stuck in this system and allowing this authoritarian, totalitarian regime to control their daily lives. And then you
mm,
think about, I don't necessarily want to use the term capitalism, but I'll use the term of the West, where we have this independence where we believe we have our own governing authority over ourselves. And then my mind started to trail a little bit like this, like where a lot of the talk of the town of the West today is the fact that the West is falling, that we're shifting, that the Western idea is dying, and that the migration of so many people from these places that aren't like us is going to be detrimental because it's going to dilute the idea of the West because they come here and they don't understand what Western values are, whatever that means to whoever from the West is, right? And it made me think this though. Western value and idea is about having autonomy of yourself and having independence. And what's interesting about that though is it's something that needs to be shown to someone who doesn't know it. And people of the West are so I'll use a not, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'll use the term egocentric. We're very because we have authority over ourselves. That anyone who comes here, we judge them for not already having that instilled in them, and it almost does separate us from each other a little bit. Instead of, and then we get mad at them for not embracing the West when they still don't know what the West is because they're brought over here still with their side of knowledge instilled in them, and we as Westerners are not introducing what the idea of the West is. So if the West is to die, it's not from the fault of people coming here, it's from the fault of us not introducing to them what the ideals of the West actually are.
mm,
And that's my little
right.
thought on the day on that. I don't know how I trailed there, but that's just where I landed.
I think it's a lovely trail, and I think it's a great place to land
Oh,
because it leads to another one,
let's hear it.
the path. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been shown like this analogy in the last couple of weeks where it goes back to a PSD file that I made way back in 2018, where it shows a path in the woods. And one has a nice, beautiful lens that shows, nice green leaves and a glorious trail. Yeah, you've seen this picture.
I
And then
have.
there's another lens that has red or gray, and it shows the trail, the exact same trail, as frightening and concerning and boring and depressing. But it's the same trail. It's just two different lenses. And then it shows underneath those lenses the different lines of thinking that that person may be entertaining that allows them to see that lens. Because it's our thinking in our minds that determines our perspective or perception of what's going on. So with the path, I find it very fascinating because I understand our life to be a preset path. It's already created in the sense of the movie has been shot. And there's a perfect path that gives the best story. It brings salvation into our lives where basically everything that we could ever want and hope for is granted. Meanwhile, it also grows us into something that's even greater than we could ever hope to imagine. So we can't even conceive what we're turning into because it's beyond our scope of grasp, but it is incredible. So that path exists, but the ability to actually not choose that path is there because we have free will in the mind as to what thoughts we're going to entertain to a degree.
That's right.
And so in this analogy, there's animal trails. You got your main path and it's beautiful and it's relatively easy to spot. But then you got little animal trails that go outside of the path and go into the bushes and whatnot. And, they're a real inefficient way to get from point A to point B, but they always lead back to the main path, no matter what, because it's designed that way so that we can't get truly lost in this labyrinth of a forest, the wilderness, as they say. So you got three types of thinking while you're on this path. The first thought, pathetic thoughts. Pathetic thoughts. Etic means
I love that. You have pathetic thoughts. Path. Epic thoughts. Oh man.
exactly.
That is my humor. I love it. Continue.
Yes, okay. So etic. I looked up the definition of etic, and I understood that definition to be one who does not take part in the culture being studied. So in the culture of the path, how is it that we live the path? Is there life forms?
Is it edict or edict?
Etic.
It is edict? Okay.
Well, maybe it could be pronounced edict, but it's spelt etic.
Okay.
So are there any life forms, especially now that we talked about beliefs that could be living, that don't study the culture of Christ, of the kingdom, and so they can't actually recognize it? They represent the opposite. The principalities that we wrestle with in our minds on a daily, moment-to-moment basis. So to have a pathetic thought is to basically have a thought entertained from a principality. This would be all of the thoughts that are negative, like, ugh, why do I even try? Ugh, I mean, this always happens to be just my luck. Yeah, whatever. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Okay, get out of here. I got to do me right now. Just don't. Those kinds of thoughts. Those thoughts that disconnect us from ourselves and disconnect us from people and just feel negative. Pathetic thoughts. And we all get them on a daily basis. However, we do have the ability to either choose to entertain them or not.
That's the big one. The choice of
actually
being entertaining, right? Like,
yes.
That is one of the most beautiful options we have, is being able to choose not to engage with it.
Yes.
Because like
Which
you
takes
said,
awareness.
we all have it. 100% it does. And the awareness, once you become aware, it is your duty to always reject those thoughts.
Interesting.
It becomes your duty to do so. Because if you start to entertain those, you're just betraying yourself.
Interesting. I know exactly what you mean. And the thoughts that can be identified as pathetic are pretty obvious because they make us feel bad. However, to have the awareness to say that I actually don't need to entertain this, there's a better option. That's not always there, but it reveals where we're at in our spiritual journey. Because the more that we're matured in our spiritual awakening, the more that we're able to then come into awareness of when we're entertaining a thought that's not true. It's not of God.
I
It's
just want
something else. It's pathetic.
yeah, I'd like to quickly add something to what you just said. It's the ability to recognize not to engage with a pathetic thought, but that doesn't always mean there is a better thought. Sometimes just not is all that is necessary. Not engaging with that pathetic thought and being at neutral. It doesn't mean there's the
Ah,
polar opposite. It's like there's the pathetic and there's the glorious, you know? There
mhm.
is just be neutral. It's okay to be neutral. You don't have to be
I
thinking
know.
pathetically, and that does not mean you have to automatically be thinking gloriously. And I think
Right.
that is a big thing a lot of people, myself included, get caught up in is assuming that if I'm not thinking negatively, that means I must be thinking positively. I have to think positively, otherwise I'm just negative. Be neutral, centered.
There is literally a psychological coach that I saw an interview on that is paid millions of dollars per year to go from team to team and athlete to athlete to preach that exact same message that you just said. It's
Really?
about
Oh, cool.
neutralizing the negative thinking that comes into the athlete's mind. It
Nice.
doesn't need to be turned into a positive, but just needs to recognize it and silence it. Don't act on it, no matter what it is. And he gets paid millions of dollars because it brings results. It
Where's my
works.
millions?
And so that's one level. That's super powerful. However, is it true that there is a binary effect? That there's not just the edge of the coin, but there's the other side of the coin.
No,
And
it's non-binary, Lars.
I think everything is binary because everything is polarized. So
Yes,
everything
it
has an
is.
expression of yin and yang. Everything has an expression of positive and negative.
Hmm.
But there is the in between. However, if there's a negative, what is the positive? And what about a false positive? What about a
Hmm.
fake light that disguises itself as light, but it's not actually light at all?
Well, the cat
That
that's
leads
going
me,
against the wall, right? The cat going after
yes.
the little laser on the wall. You're never gonna catch it.
Okay, that's a great thought, actually, because that brings me to my next category, and that's
Category? Category?
did it again.
that,
KG3.
that wasn't pathetic at all.
No, no, that was not. But that cat could be seen as pathological
Mm.
because that cat is trying to use its own logic to determine the best path in that moment. And it thinks that path is to catch that laser dot and to destroy it or eat it or do something because it thinks it's physical.
Yep.
But the cat's just being pathological because that cat is just going crazy. And it seems like it has a mental disorder of some sort where it's just like trying to attack this dot that's not even there to begin with. Pathological, using its own logic to try and find the path. But not the path, it's a false positive. This, I believe, encompasses the other thoughts that are of arrogance, that have a lot of confidence in it, but it's confidence in yourself, which is not a fundamental truth as to how the universe works. Truth is, we don't do anything in our own effort. It's actually impossible to do anything in our own effort because it requires, well, for one, 3.8 million cells to be generated every single second. I'm not generating those right now. There's no way I just commanded 3.8 million cells to just be created right now and right now and right now. Not my power. That has to come from something else. And my ability to actually exist with 100 billion different neurons firing with three messages as a minimum at all times, every single second. Once again, that's not me doing it. So I'm not doing anything on my own accord.
It is
So
incredible.
it's actually a lie for me to say that I achieved this, that I did this. I didn't do anything that wasn't already slated to be and empowered to become real.
Well, when you say I did this too, is it it's like there are two ways of saying it. I did this coming from the ego and I did this coming from I, the singular, the universe, God, right? It's like,
Right.
are you speaking from your humanoid ego or are you speaking from your universal consciousness?
Yes. And here's
Because
the other part of
that's,
that. I see the universal consciousness as Christ consciousness,
of
and
course,
Christ consciousness as literally from the Spirit of Christ.
that's right.
But there's a tie there that many people speak the same language. They just call it the universe. It is the universe.
I agree.
Jesus is literally, he's the cohesive force that holds everything together. Every atom, every fluctuation of energy, every sound, all of it. It's him that's holding it all together. His voice is literally bringing rise to all matter and all forces to elicit an experience inside of us to be rendered inside of our minds. That's amazing.
It
That
is.
so anything that strays from that fundamental truth is an illusion, such as I accomplished this, I did this. Anything that's I based, that's puffed up and trying to feel as though it's worthy and valuable because of what it has accomplished. False positive, pathological. It's a mental disease.
Yeah.
I had this mental disease very strongly in my 20s. It was devastating. It brought so much wreckage into my life. The pathological thinking, the arrogance. I know I was saying some of my best friends, we start off very just two egos, two arrogant individuals trying to outdo the other one, saying, I'm the alpha male. No, I'm the alpha male. Bro, do you even lift?
Yeah. You even lift, bro?
They become my best friends because we both put our arrogance aside and we discover what's actually in each other's heart. And it's like, wow, hey, we're bros for life.
Whoa.
Phenomenal.
You totally do lift. You lift me up,
Bro,
bro.
bro. And so,
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
those are the two. But there's a final category of thinking that I call pathfinding. Self-explanatory. But when you actually look at the definition of pathfinding, it's a computation term. And it's the most efficient pathway from point A to point B. Whatever is the most efficient line of travel, that becomes the pathfinding way. So that would be something that is the epitome of harmony because it's not fighting anything. It's the most efficient path. It has tone. There's
Tone. Yeah.
non-resistance. And so pathfinding thoughts is to find the strategy or the words, the thoughts, the actions that are the most harmonious for getting
Harmonizing.
us.
That was the word that was going through my head when you were saying is like finding the harmonizing. Something to harmonize with,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. From point A to point B. It's like a choreography. There's a
Great word.
set of moves that allow for the most body mechanic efficiency, the most efficiency in speed of travel, and the most amount of peace and enjoyment and goodness, because that's fundamentally what this path is made out of. It's just whether or not we can actually see it and receive the thoughts to embody it. And then that becomes a choreographed expression of what that path was always meant to be. But it's the awareness that allows us to get there. And the battle is always in the mind. It's the narrative.
Yep. The mind. It is going all the way back to the start of the conversation. Is the mind, is it your master or are you a slave to your mind? Because that is such a, and there's the duality, the binary again, because the mind is a very unique tool. And that is what it should be, is a tool. It is a computer, and a computer, like our phones even, can either be something that we use for research, for business, for advancing ourselves and having that knowledge just at our fingertips, or it can be used as something that can consume our time and take everything from us. And that is what the brain is. It is literally that binary. It can either be your best friend and your greatest ally, or it can be the most detrimental, harsh dictator of your life. Nothing external is more it can ever touch what your own mind can do to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets even crazier. Have you heard that
The bird is the word. Going
that
back
you
to you
heard?
identifying birds.
It's got move, it's got feeling.
Oh, it's more than a feeling.
I'm not sure if that is relevant at all, but I bet you there's some awesome stuff in there. Now, okay, yes, there it
Yes.
is. Okay. The mind looks to be giving us a script for us to fall into and then believe that it was us that made the decision. For example, a thought wave fires. Now, as that thought wave fires, anywhere from 500 milliseconds to up to 6 seconds later, we then experience that thought. But it's first the thought wave that fires, and then later on we become aware of what that thought is. But under the illusion that we just came up with that thought, as if we're the ones that initiated it and called it into being. But we're actually behind in the time because that thought actually started before we even thought of it. And so that means all of our thoughts as to what to say, our thoughts of what we do, our thoughts that we have right now, we're behind in the times. Those thoughts actually started half a second ago, and we just come into awareness of them, which means it was already predisposed as to what thought we were going to think. Never mind what word we were going to say or what strategy we're about to implement. The thoughts itself, they preceded our actual thinking,
Yeah.
which means that we don't control our thinking. It's more like the
No.
subconscious mind bubbles up a script
Yeah.
that then predisposes our conscious line of thinking into fruition.
Well, and there's going back to what you were saying before too about thoughts having a life and a personality of its own.
Interesting.
It is thoughts are things trying to be born. And if we
That's
attach to them, we allow life to
Right.
come from it.
Like having babies,
It is.
multiplying.
Yeah, it's the semen of thought.
Oof.
Yeah,
There it
and
is.
we're impregnating the belly of ideas.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like everything
I'm a
is
doctor.
oof. Okay, well, that's
Interesting.
very interesting.
There's
Yes.
I saw one earlier. The guy was being a goof, but I kind of like the idea behind it. And he says, if we are the voice in our head, who's the one listening? And I don't know why, but I'm just, like, for a moment, I did go, yeah, I guess it's still us.
Yeah.
It almost was
sometimes.
deep. It almost was deep until it wasn't.
Yeah, interesting. But I like your analogy of basically all of our thoughts as being little sperms that
Yeah.
get ejected out into the atmosphere, which is the egg. And then all those thoughts, they have an incubation effect, especially when they're empowered by words. When we have words, that's more than one sperm. That's millions of sperm because it's coming out in a more powerful format of energy. It's more condensed that can travel through the viscosity of the ether, basically,
Yeah.
and impact others, but literally gets embedded into the fabric of reality. But then there's something even more powerful, our actions. When we physically change something in our universe through our hands and feet, through our physical actions, that changes reality. That's an even bigger load. That's like a full orgasm. I think we can say that. A full energetic orgasm
We're
being
mature. We're
burst
adults.
into into the egg of the earth, which
Yeah.
then brings back its fruit of like kind. So whatever we sow, we then reap. Whatever we put out, we get back. It's a constant state or process of impregnating the universe and then having that universe being projected right back to us to show us where we were coming from and allowing us to experience it so that we can understand whether or not it's good or not. Because it's true that things are good and there's things that are not good.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
That not good can still be used for good, but it's not good.
That's
And
right.
it'll be good when it's completely vanquished, because that truly shows what's good to be harnessed and taken in and implanted. And then that gets multiplied through the impregnation process with manifestation, just constantly. This upcycle, basically.
Upcycle. That's exactly it.
And it all
Yeah.
comes down to the thoughts. Do we have pathfinding thoughts? Because those pathfinding thoughts are impregnating thoughts. And they impregnate the good stuff to bring it right back into us. But guess what? The pathological and the pathetic thoughts, those are impregnating too.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. We don't know. We don't know which thought is the next Mussolini. We don't know who's right. And that's the part of life that is forever unknown. What will be
The
good, what will
mystery.
be bad, for who and for what.
Mm.
Completely, I feel it's relevant and also irrelevant, but it's just a segue into this. I was on set the other day at the Peony, and I'm walking by the architecture there, and they have some of these almost Colosseum like buildings, these big round buildings. And I was looking at these giant stone slabs, and I'm thinking, someone thought of this and they brought it to life. And then I started to think, how long has this building been here? 50 years? 60 years? And then my thought went to one more area, and I thought to myself, one day this will all be dust, and no one will know it was standing here. But for now, it's here, it's known, and it's enjoyed. Isn't that interesting? And then I walked by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and I'm like, that's an action figure right there. That man is a monster. He is a large man. Yeah. So that was my last day on set. Had a little bit of a philosophical thought, and then got pulled into a little bit of a that's The Rock.
It's a nice moment too, because I mean, it almost feels like a novelty that, one day this is going to be gone. But like right now, I get to enjoy this. This is a
100%.
nice moment,
It is cool.
knowing that it's actually temporary.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, somehow that gives it more value to a degree. It's
It
like,
it really does.
this is a temporary experience. I'm never going to get this again. I might as well take it in because there's something good here.
That's that is the beauty of life. Is everything is beautifully fleeting. And the
Mm,
reason it's beautiful is because it's fleeting. It's
mm,
stated in the Bible, it's stated in many literary works that the only reason that Lucifer and the angels who fell were against us is through the jealousy. And
mm,
even the angels who didn't fall and still stood by God, they are jealous, but in a more loving way, of the fact that we get to experience life and death. We get to experience these beauties. It's not the fact that they don't know the word beauty, but they don't understand it the way we do because they
mm.
are eternal. It's a forever thing. So things, any label you can say, they'd be like, it almost is like, ah, yes, I've read of this. It's almost, I almost see them coming from such a stoic line of thinking at all times, where it's just like, ah, yes, that is what that is. But I
Hmm.
do not understand. It's like I know of it, I do not understand it myself because I can't experience it.
Ah, yes.
And
Interesting.
whereas for us, because everything is a fleeting moment and we only have a finite amount of time and we're experiencing all these amazing, beautiful, tragic things, it brings meaning to our lives, value at a time. I mean, if we like, there's the idea that some people want to extend our lifespan or make it where we are immortal, right? And
Hmm.
extend us. And if time were irrelevant and there was too much of it, would there be any meaning? What would be the meaning if there was one? And I almost feel the only type of meaning that would want to continue forever would be malevolent, because its only goal would be to encompass all of time. And that's just a simple thought fleeting away.
So when you say malevolent, I actually instantly translated that in my mind to benevolent, but it means the exact opposite.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I think
Be-
benevolent is allowing both.
okay,
Allowing
because
time to be fleeting, but also allow whoever is a part of it to one day control it all.
mm,
Benevolence is allowing both and letting the two figure it out themselves.
I see.
Okay.
What if it was a battle between what's true and what's not true? Let's
Yes.
say if that's the binary division between the two forces that make up reality and of time. So we have malevolence that is based on illusions. It's
Mm-hmm.
based on trying to convince others that they need to be controlled and that they can be kept safe through this narcissistic type of persona where it has power over them. That's malevolence, we'll say. But the actual fundamental fact of the universe and the creation of time as to what it accomplishes is bringing layers of truth into the human psyche, one generation at a time, until its completion, where everything that's true about the universe and how everything works on a manifesting kind of a way is revealed and understood and empowered in one spirit. So you have the spirit of truth that is, in the program of time that has the task of shedding light and shedding layers into our psyche as to what is actually true and what is false. But then you have the beginning of humanity where, the majority of us, if pretty much, no, all of us, were completely controlled by lies and illusions as to what this universe really is and what it's accomplishing. We didn't know. We did our best. We put together a really good set of rules of 613 or 616 different laws that try to describe what love is and try to describe what the best thing to do when it comes to what this universe seems to reward the most. But we still didn't really know. That was just our best guess because we're still being controlled by that narcissistic persona that embodied itself inside of us, that hid the truth. It didn't let us acknowledge who we actually are. We're children of God. We're sons and
Always.
daughters of God. And when I say God, I mean the very force and the very spirit that not only holds every second into manifestation and allows things to carry out, but this force has every other force, including the narcissistic force of falsity, working to accomplish one thing. And that's simply to bring truth to absolutely every single person and to experience what's not good, what's a lie, and what is good, what's of God, what's of truth.
Yeah.
And so there's only one inevitable ending, and that's for the full story to play out of all of us coming into the understanding of, wow, God is good. God is Christ. I'm one with Christ. His spirit lives through me, and I'm actually his subconscious mind. I'm the mind of Christ. We're the mind of Christ. We are the subconscious neurons of his mind that receive his vision, receive his conscious suggestion, and we don't fight it because we know it's the best thought possible. We don't need to question it. We already know it's validated from the best source. We just implement it with harmony, with love, with excitement, with anticipation, with the best of our ability, with excellence, and we just say thank you. And
Yeah.
that's what we're being designed into. But we are one mind with the God of the universe. We inherit everything, every star, every galaxy, every single little bit of reality, and then the layers of reality, the dimensions that we haven't experienced yet. We inherit all of it. And that's the truth of every single moment is we are being formed and we are being grown in what's true. And that's where we find the freedom.
Well, I love that you said everything has to play out. No matter what, it's just things have to play out. And I want to bring that back to what I said about only a malevolent force would want to take control of time. Because
Interesting.
if a malevolent force took control of time, that means it would have to knock out all, we'll say, benevolence in this time. And the only outcome of that would be is for it to be alone with itself, malevolence alone. And malevolence alone would have to reflect and look in on itself and realize that benevolence was always the answer. And it was always there. And it's just like the yin and yang. There's always the small white in the black, and there's always the small black in the white. That small piece of benevolence is always within benevolence, but it is pushed it down or is focusing not on it because it is so caught up in its mind virus that it wants to accomplish this ego driven destructive path that is so anti benevolence out of, let's use Lucifer as the example, out of a grudge, out of its own narcissism, out of its own ego. There's an anime, I think we've talked about this before, that is it's called Devilman Crybaby. And the ending of that anime, spoiler alert everybody, has it where Lucifer is the main antagonist and goes on a holy war against everyone, and they're this main character who is half demon, half human. He's like the crying demon, hence Devilman Crybaby, and he fights Lucifer, but they also are both friends. Like before you find out he's Lucifer, and before you find out he's the Devilman Crybaby, they are two humans growing up together as friends. And like they always were the yin to the yang. One was a little bit more standoffish, the other one was more open, and they showed each other different viewpoints. But the one who was always open always never wanted to give in to the one who ended up being Lucifer on the world is nothing but pain and nothing but like people aren't good. But the series ends with Lucifer actually taking over the world, essentially destroying everyone and everything, even killing the Devil Man. And he's laying there with the corpse of the Devil Man, and he's just talking to him, and he's like, I never understood what you would say back when you said everything has value. And now I think I get it. Will you please just answer me? And he realizes that he's alone now with only himself and even his best friend, who he killed out of his own driven ego. He now, now that he's alone, he realizes the fault of his ways, and he begins to cry and says, like, I'm sorry, this is not like what I wanted or intended. And then a light descends from the heavens, and God accepts Lucifer back into the fold, and life begins again because Lucifer learned his lesson. And that's actually what all of this is about. That's what existence is about. It's about malevolent forces learning to be benevolent, learning that benevolence is always the answer. But you have to go through this experience to understand the two. Because how do you know what benevolence is, especially if you're created through benevolence? How are you supposed to understand what a benevolence is if you don't know what malevolence is? If you don't understand two, the yin, the yang, the binaries, right, the polar opposites, and at the same time, both encompassed. Because that's the beautiful thing of the yin and yang. It's like, it's the one side or the other. They're in the same circle.
Yeah, and it can only go one way.
Yeah.
Because there's a momentum, there's a trajectory, and if that wasn't enough, there's the entire series of destinies that were preformed before any of them ever experienced a single day of their lives.
Yep.
And it all plays out with one vision in mind. There's only one vision. There's only one way it can go. The ending was written before the beginning.
Yep.
And we're witnessing it. Not just witnessing it, we're actually having it filtered through us so that we can be benefactors of experiencing it.
Yeah.
And then truly understanding what is good and what is not good. Because that was one thing that I think the early archetype of the human did not have. They had love. All we had was love, from the way that I see it. I see it as we were almost a higher dimensional expression, where the idea of pain and selfishness and anger and any negativity wasn't even a possibility to experience. It wasn't there. But then we went into a sub-reality that allowed us to actually experience the opposite as well as what we had before. And that results in something that's unique and grows us into something bigger and more than we were before because we get a new understanding. Before, we understood just love, but we didn't quite understand the importance and power of trusting God as our conscious mind. There was doubts. There's like, well, maybe there's more. Maybe there's actually, something that's being held back from me to experience, even though I got every single tree and every single sub-reality in the entire universe. But they told me not to do this one. I kind of want to plug into it because this serpent just said that I'm missing out, so I'm getting FOMO. And FOMO only comes from lack of faith. So we didn't have faith. We had love. We had hope. We did not have faith. How could we? There was nothing else to experience. There's nothing to compare it to. For all we knew, even though God never actually demonstrated ever holding back anything, maybe it's possible that he is holding something back and he's just saying don't go there because he wants it for himself. Maybe. I don't know. It's possible. I don't think so, but maybe. Whatever that little doubt is, all of a sudden, boom, we get to go in there. And now we experience, wow, he was right. It was for my benefit, not to experience all this pain, this suffering, this terrible stuff, what it is to die. He didn't want that for me. But the fact that I chose it, means he's going to have a plan to actually put it. He's going to have a plan. Like, he didn't just make this playground, this sub-reality, just to have a trap.
Yeah.
I don't think so. That's not what a perfect, loving God would do. There would be utility. There would be some kind of a use case that, okay, well, if they choose that, which they will, because I already know, it's going to be for their ultimate good. And it's going to transform them into something that's even greater so that my son can now step into the next iteration of his sonship. Because before, Jesus didn't have a collective body. He was born, he was alive, he was the Word that we walked with in Eden, but he did not have a network that was completely groomed and shaped into saying, I trust you, Lord. Whatever you say, I know for a fact that you are the best vision possible for whatever you think should happen is better than I can think of. What do you think? Because I just want to do what you think. You've proven it to me. He couldn't have had that because all we had was love and hope. We didn't have the faith yet. So what happens is humanity experiences what it's like to have no faith. They struggle, and they struggle with having love and then resentment and the opposite, basically. But then the embodiment of faith comes into the earth and proves a new way, proves what is actually true, that dismantles all of the false lines of thinking and the false mindsets that keep us trapped in the idea that we have to be selfish, in the idea that we have to be fearful, in the idea that we have to be ashamed. All of those things that are the opposite of love, we don't need to entertain that because he's who he is, and he's leading us into more than we could expect, and it's already done. But that could not be an option until he came here and imparted his spirit. He gave us a spirit of truth and a spirit of faith so that we have the same faith as he demonstrated. He has perfect faith. So what does he do? He comes into this matrix with his source code, and then he dies through no fault of his own, but it's just simply murdered in the worst possible way. But in doing so, injects his source code into the very motherboard of this reality, so that we can take part in that spirit that then gives us full truth, that then brings our hearts into a heart of his faith, so that our level of faith in him is the exact same level as he demonstrated in our Father. And what happens then? Boom shakalaka, we are upgraded into our next glorified selves that are glorified in his glory because he glorifies his body, and we become something far greater than we ever could have imagined in the Garden of Eden. Way, way better. Huge upgrade. And not just that, but now Jesus, not only can he be a son, but now he gets to be a groom. He gets to be a king because he has a new body now to operate through that is in 100% consensus, saying, thank you, Lord. Whatever you think, I am in. Let's do this.
The Golden Kingdom has arrived.
And that is the story of why we go through this time of binary experience and why every good thing can be utilized for our good, because everything is revealing his truth and imparting his truth inside of us. And that is what leads us into our ultimate destiny of being one spirit with him. And then what's next from there? Truly glorious. What is it? I have no idea, but it's going to be good. Truly.
If you're not loving, you're learning.
In every moment. Yeah.
Every moment.
Factamundo. And then it just takes the right attitude to actually become aware of what is happening in every moment. And then, hence, receiving the gift in every moment. The attitude of receptivity to what's true.
Being able to receive at all times is one of the most valuable assets. Because when you think of receiving, a lot of people, myself included, heavily, I'd say it's one of the greatest things that I've learned, and I will attribute, again, recently I can find a lot in my life that has been bettered. I attribute it to my experience of reading the Bible cover to cover. It has given me a whole new perspective on a lot of aspects of my life, but the idea of reception, being able to receive in any given situation. And what I was going to state was I used to be bad, still am at times, of only being willing to receive the good, waiting to receive the good. It's like, and in a bad situation, I would reject any form of reception. This is bad happening. There's nothing good that could ever come of this. And that it was a flawed mindset to have, because there still is things to receive. There's things to learn. There's things that you can still receive that would be of value to you down the road. There's a lot that can be done from receiving at all times. Because just because you receive also doesn't mean you have to hold on.
Ah, there it is.
Right? Someone tosses you that rock, you catch it, you realize this is a heavy weight, and you set it down. And sometimes you get tossed that rock, you go, this is a heavy weight. Is this what you're experiencing? And you connect with them, and now you lighten their load. And then maybe their load eventually would be dropped, and that's how you help someone else out. Or they toss the rock, and you realize, I don't have to catch. And you learn that you don't always have to catch.
Just dodge that one.
Yeah.
That's a boulder coming out of that gold processor.
Yeah. Life is such a beautiful and intricate design. It's good to be alive, my friend.
You might even say it's truly glorious.
Truly glorious. It truly was glorious proceedings, LA5, and I think this would be a good time to possibly end it.
I feel it.
All right, my friend.
That was a good one.
That
was my favorite one so far.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I look forward to the next week. LA5
KG3. I will see you then.
Absolutely. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.